This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer fans? Welcome to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. And kickoff for week number 2 is almost here. Mountaineers set to do battle with the Ohio Bobcats on the road in Athens, Ohio on Saturday the 6th at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. So looking forward to a great game. This is the official Ohio Bobcats West Virginia Mountaineers preview episode. I get that if you've been keeping up with the episodes here on Mountaineer Moment, there's been lots of episodes dropping about this Ohio Bobcats team and about this matchup. So there'll be bits and pieces of this episode that feature some of the things that we've already talked about, but there'll be some new stuff as well in this, again, the official preview of that game. The last episodes we're going to release before the game, so be sure to stick around through this whole episode, and we'll get you set and geared up and ready to go for the Mountaineer matchup with the Ohio Bobcats. Now, then, this is our 13th episode here on Mountaineer Moment, and this is a podcast that's been around for just about 13 days. So we're pumping out episodes, so please subscribe, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching. Help us, help you, and so we can keep you in the know on when new episodes are dropping. 13th episode, super just happy to be doing this, and even just thank you for listening or watching, and if you've contributed, made comments, however you're doing that, thank you for that, because I'm kind of blown away by just how quickly this thing's growing and the participation we're getting from people. I love interacting with you guys in the comment section on YouTube, so thank you for being a part of the Mountaineer Moment, and this is only beginning. Again, just week 2 of the Mountaineer football season, and we're going to be here all football season long, and super excited for basketball season to get going as well. And so we'll have you covered here on Mountaineer Moment. Also want to let you know about the Mountaineer Moment newsletter that we send out via email. So if you're interested in reading some articles that I get to write, cover the Mountaineer football and basketball programs, you can subscribe to that. There's more information on that, how to, you can just click the link and follow it to subscribe to the Mountaineer Moment newsletter so you don't miss a beat. We're doing it all from all angles, right? Audio podcast, video podcasts on YouTube, and a newsletter as well. So check it out, and please consider subscribing to Mountaineer Moment via newsletter. All right, that's a whole lot. But in today's episode, again, really get to preview this matchup. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this Ohio Bobcats offense. We're going to talk about their defense, look at who they are and what they bring to the table, and then ultimately what all of that means for the West Virginia Mountaineers as they seek to go into Athens, take care of business, and win this game, start the season 2-0 with, obviously, as you know, the backyard brawl on the horizon and the incredible atmosphere that's going to create in Morgantown on September 13th, Saturday at 3:30 kickoff. Hoping for College game day to be there, but first thing first, Mountaineers got to take care of business in Athens. And so here we're going to start with the Ohio offense, a little bit about what they bring to the table. And again, because we live in 2025, we live in the era of the transfer portal, and we're in week 2 of the season, about 85% of what we have to go off of is what Ohio just did in week 1. Because we can look back at 2024, but then we'd be looking back at the Ohio Bobcats of 2024, who now in 25, they return or rank nationally in as far as returning. They rank 100th in returning production. And so what that tells us is that there's a lot of guys in 2024 for the MAC champions that are not here in 2025. We're going to talk about a couple pieces that are back, specifically their quarterback. So if you've looked at any of the previous episodes this week breaking down this matchup, you've heard us talk about the Ohio Bobcats quarterback, Parker Navarro, and he's going to be talked about a little bit more on this episode as well for what he brings to the table. So Ohio, offensively, we know Parker. We know this running back, C.A. Bangura, who has an interesting story, who started his career at Ohio, I believe, and in 2023. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. 2024, he transfers over to Minnesota in the Big Ten, and the grass was not, in fact, greener for him. Just 4 carries on the season. Struggled, obviously, to get time on the field. And so what does he do? He goes back to a familiar place. He transfers back to Ohio for the 2025 season and had himself a nice day against Rutgers. Shout out to Emmett Matthews of the West Virginia basketball program, right, who we know who did that a few years ago, spent time in Morgantown, started his career there. Ventures back to the West Coast in Washington, where it is home for him, and then comes back to Morgantown for his final season. So that's what Bangura did just in Athens, Ohio with the Bobcats. So pretty cool story. And again, a good day for him in week 1, 16 carries, 86 yards against Rutgers. And speaking of that Rutgers game, I said we're going to get into that one because that's what we have to go off of in this young season. But the Bobcats, man, they went up to Rutgers on Thursday night of opening weekend and gave the Scarlet Knights all they could handle. 34-31 loss in favor of Rutgers. Handed Ohio a 34-31 loss, I should say. And Ohio looked good. Like, I remember watching that game a little bit. I get it's Rutgers, but still, it's a power conference opponent. Watch some of that game, and then going on X after and seeing the comments people are making. West Virginia fans are saying, "Okay, got our hands full a little bit with this Ohio team." I was a little more, I don't want to say confident, but now it's like, okay, Ohio showed us something. Now we got to really dial in and focus on what they bring to the table so that we don't get knocked off by them. There's been high praise from the coaches, the players, even for that game, and in a lot of ways, maybe it's a good thing that they were on national television on that Thursday night, and that they played so well, because now they have our attention. They have Coach Rod's attention, Zach Alley's attention, and they have my attention as a fan and as someone who gets to cover the Mountaineers. 34-31, almost did it. Weren't able to pull it off. They were down 17 at one point in the first half. But again, their offense. Getting a little everywhere now because I'm thinking about what they did to prove to us last weekend. But Parker Navarro, some stats on him: 21 for 31 in that matchup, 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also picked up a touchdown on the ground and almost hit 100 yards on the ground as well. 9 carries for 93 yards. So Parker Navarro had himself a day. He obviously contributed to all 4 of Ohio's touchdowns, 3 through the air and 1 on the ground. And then Bangura, obviously, too, averaging over 5 yards a carry for his 86 yards. And as a team, 31 total carries, 201 yards, 6.5 per attempt. That's a good day for the defending MAC champions. Again, week 1, going into Rutgers. And not to mention, that was done with almost an entirely new starting 5 up front for their offensive line. 4 of 5 guys are brand new, and so they're piecing things together, trying to figure things out. And on paper, right, in the box score, they did a pretty good job up front. Navarro didn't get sacked any. He faced some pressure, but obviously we see what he did to escape some of that and scramble for 93 yards total on the day. His longest run was 28 yards, and we said in previous episodes too, part of the thing with containing Parker Navarro and Zach Alley in his Tuesday press conference said that's going to be huge, is keeping him in the pocket as much as we can, because when he gets outside of the pocket, Alley said he's one of the best in the country. He's one of the top quarterbacks out there when you get him outside on the move, and he's got some decisions as to whether he can tuck it and run or he can find an open receiver. And, the worst thing, in my opinion, with a running quarterback and facing a running quarterback are those, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9 downs where coverage is perfect. The quarterback scrambles outside. They need 9. They get 10. I mean, that's so deflating to a defense. So keep an eye on that in this week 2 matchup, because he's good with his legs. 1,000 yards a season ago. He had 18 touchdowns on the ground in 2024. He threw 13 through the air, over 2,000 yards. Now, Ohio did lose a 1,200-yard receiver from last season. Their leading receiver in week 1 was here last year. Chase Hendricks had just about 450 yards, I think, in 2024. But here to open up the season, he put up 115 yards on 9 catches. He was the primary target for Navarro. No one else had more than 2 catches. So Chase Hendricks is, after week 1, appears to be the receiver to keep an eye on. Jake Bruno, remember that name, because that's a tight end who all he did was catch 2 passes, both of which were touchdowns. Two catches, 27 yards, and 2 touchdowns for tight end Jake Bruno. They like to use their tight ends in the offensive scheme that they run. And again, Navarro's kind of a guy who you'd be a little bit familiar with in a Rich Rod style offense with what he brings to the table. They like to use their tight ends, and obviously they like to run the football, and they had success doing so in week 1, even with almost an entirely new offensive line. They do a lot of RPO action, and so that's something to keep an eye on. Something certainly for the West Virginia DBs to be aware of. And when you're playing RPO, you're getting that ball out of there quick. So be aware of that. Play up and close to the line, and hopefully you can get a pick or 2 out of Navarro. Zach Elliott loves to get turnovers, leading his defenses, and I think there could be some opportunities to do so. He threw 11 picks last year to just 13 touchdowns. So, man, it'd be nice to come out of Athens and saying, you know what, we were able to get a win, and one of the reasons why is because we picked this guy off a couple times. That could be a reason West Virginia gets the job done. Again, they ran it well, and they protected well against Rutgers. That's what you see. This was an offense that was able to put up 31 points. They would have liked to put up just a few more, right, to get the upset, but they were able to score it nonetheless. And, part of that came from the middle 2 quarters where they scored 24 in the second and third. Just unable to get over the hump in the fourth quarter. That's why Rutgers came away with the win despite surrendering a big lead. So that's a little bit of snapshot, 30,000-foot view of this Ohio offense led by Parker Navarro, who's going to lead the way. Again, so goes Navarro, so goes this team. So he's the guy to watch. Bangura, talented running back, and they got some weapons, obviously, at tight end, who caught 2 touchdowns last week, and Chase Hendricks, 9 catches. I don't know how many targets, but 9 catches for 115 yards in week 1. So there's some guys to keep an eye on. They play RPO, so be aware of that. On the defensive side of things, what we obviously notice from a quick glance at the box score is that this Ohio defense gave up 31 points in the first half. 31 points in the first half to a Rutgers offense who was able to do just about everything they wanted to do, especially in the first half. Their quarterback went 18 for 23, incredibly efficient, 2 touchdowns. They ran it for 147 yards on 37 carries, just at 4 yards per carry. Their go-to running back had 14 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown. And then again, their quarterback through the air found the end zone twice. Only 5 incompletions on the day for him. So they were able to do a lot of what they wanted to do. And if you watched that game, Rutgers missed out on opportunities, right? Doesn't seem like they missed out on any opportunities in the first half, putting up 31 points. But in the second half, they got on Ohio's side of the field numerous other times and weren't able to take advantage. So close game in the end, but Rutgers could have had a few more points. They left some stuff out there in that one. Now, you'll say, okay, well, Ohio outgained Rutgers, which is true. Ohio did, 440 yards, to 399 for Rutgers. One of the crazy stats out of this one was that Rutgers was 1 of 10 on third down. 1 of 10 on third down, but they were 5 of 5 on fourth down. And one of those fourth down conversions happened to be the one that sealed the deal, put things away, like a 4th and 7 or 4th and 8 that they were able to pick up and seal the deal and then kneel it out to end this game. And they were in Ohio territory at that point as well. So 1 of 10 on third down, 5 of 5 on fourth down. I mean, if you want to talk about a story of the game right there, that's it. A couple of those fourth downs don't go their way, and Ohio might have came out of New Jersey against Rutgers with a win. Again, efficient offensive game for Rutgers, and that hopefully is going to bode well for what you think the Mountaineers are going to be able to do on Saturday. I mean, that was a career high in completion percentage for the Rutgers quarterback. And so obviously through the first half, Ohio struggled defensively. Moments in the second half they struggled. They obviously couldn't get off the field on fourth down. That's why Rutgers was 5 for 5 converting. But I think what this all means for West Virginia, and real quick too, we mentioned Ohio losing 4 of 5 guys on the offensive line. They lose 5 of their top 6 tacklers from a season ago. So just like everybody on West Virginia's offense and defense is having to prove themselves to Rich Rod and to the Big 12 and to the country, Ohio's in a similar situation, right? You're out there. A lot of these guys are out there in an Ohio uniform for the first time. So keep an eye on that, right? This is not a defense that's proven. It's not an offensive line that's proven. It's a quarterback in Parker Navarro that's proven some things. It's a running back in Ben Gura that's proven some things. But aside from that, like their front seven defensively, their offensive line, there's question marks. Not to say that they're pump the brakes, right? Like not to say that there's not question marks on West Virginia's offense and defense. But Ohio has them too, and hopefully there's some things that you can exploit there. And so what all this means for West Virginia as we close out this game preview episode. And again, more content in previous episodes this week. We did some over-unders. We did 3 keys to victory for the Mountaineers in this matchup. We did 5 things to watch for. What else did we do? Let me just look at our channel here. We talked a little bit more about just focused on Ohio, some of these numbers, and talked about the fact that the Mountaineers were only favored by 3.5. It got down to 2.5. Now it's back up to 3.5. People expected that to be a little bit more. I can't say I'm surprised based on what they were able to do against Rutgers. Now they come home, fired up crowd, expecting a lot of Mountaineer fans to travel well for that game. Remains to be seen what percentage we take up in the crowd wearing gold and blue, but will it be 20%, 30%, 40%? We'll have to wait and see to find that out. A fun episode we did with some over-unders, just some stat lines to keep an eye on, so go check out that episode. And then again, keys to victory. But what all this means, what Ohio brings to the table, what it means for West Virginia, and some things that we want to see if the Mountaineers are going to come out on top. I said this after the Robert Morris game, or maybe during the Robert Morris game. I want to see some deep balls. I want to see Nico's arm air it out. We saw one deep ball in week 1, and it resulted in a very good play. A 50-yard touchdown catch for Cam Vaughn over the shoulder. Beautiful grab and a pretty good throw from Nico. So I want to see the deep ball. Cam Vaughn played against these guys in the bowl game, right? If you don't know, Ohio and Jack State played last year in the bowl game. And I just want to pull up so I'm correct about it. Pull up just what Cam Vaughn did against these guys. So 30-27 win for Ohio. And Cam Vaughn had 183 yards and a touchdown. 9 catches, 183 yards, and a touchdown against these guys. Navarro in that game had 111 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. Now, We know that Rich Rod did not coach in that bowl game, but you bet he's got some film film for how Navarro fared against a defense that he coached. Fred Perry was tied for the lead in total tackles for Jacksonville State in that game with 12. Obviously, we know that he is a Mountaineer now. He had 1 tackle for loss as well. Navarro through the air, did throw a pick, 19 for 28, 254 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. So just kind of an interesting note there, right? There's some former Mountaineers former Jack State Gamecocks who are now Mountaineers who are going to be playing against Parker Navarro yet again here in week 2 in Athens. So that's something to think about. Something else I want to just point out, get on a soapbox a little bit about this one, is this talk of this being a trap game. It's a trap game. It's a trap game. Rich Rod says it's not a trap game. If you're focused on anybody but Ohio, you don't even belong here, right? And that's one reason why it's not a trap game is, well, because, I mean, look at the spread, 3.5 points. Look at the fact that this is their first road game of the season. Right, you should be dialed in. You should be focused as you prepare to hit the road. But the biggest reason to me that this is not a trap game, or the fact that it's not like, yeah, Mountaineers are going to go out there and just roll them over and not really care too much, not be super invested because they look down on this Ohio team. That's not it at all. They're not doing that. Rich Rod's not going to let them do that. But bigger than all of those things, I think you're going to get your best out of the Mountaineers against Ohio for this reason. And that's because, I mean, everyone on the Mountaineer team is still trying to earn their spot. I mean, every down you think about how many guys played last week, not only quarterback, but running back, all over the field, you see guys getting an opportunity, getting a shot. And guess what? That's still going to be the case all over the field, all of these position groups. There's going to be guys getting an opportunity to play, and if you don't make the most of your opportunity to play, you might not play again, right? There's position battles still going on. There's still plenty of guys on this roster that have something to prove. And when they get on the field, it doesn't matter if it's against Robert Morris, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Kansas the following week to open up Big 12 play. Like, it doesn't matter who it's against. Trap game, no trap game, whatever you want to say. Like, it doesn't matter. Because internally, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Internally, you're still fighting for downs to get out on the field. And so you bet that, whatever position group you want to look at, right? Take the linebackers, for example, guys who are trying to earn their spot, trying to earn in-game reps. You can bet with the in-game reps that they get, they're gonna play their tail off and try and earn more. So, and again, it doesn't matter who they're playing. You're going to play hard. So that's what gives me a little bit of a calming sense. And we've talked about this on previous episodes a little bit, just about this fact that, hey, sometimes position battles, what they're designed to do, can grow everybody involved. And there's lots of guys in a position battle right now. They're not thinking about Pitt next week. They're thinking about what's in front of them for this play that they get in. Because some of these guys might get in for 6-7 plays. What are they going to do to make the most of those 6-7 plays? You get in for 25, 26 plays. What are you going to do for those 25, 26 plays? That's the focus for the Mountaineers right now. And as far as what I want to see out of this team, very curious to see how the run game is going to work. Again, West Virginia, new offensive line. Step up in competition from week 1 to week 2, from Robert Morris to Ohio. How are they going to fare against Ohio? How are they going to do? and I already mentioned it, what I want to see from the defense, I want to see chaos. I want to see Navarro confused. I want to see him roll out of the pocket and throw a pick. You know what I mean? He's a capable runner. He's very good on the run. I want to see him try and make something happen and throw a pick or two. Set us up well with the ball in good field position. And it's a 3.5 point spread. And again, I don't disagree with that. Maybe it should be there, but man, let's go. Let's just go take care of business. Mountaineers should win this game. Rich Rod knows that this is a team that should win this game. It doesn't matter that there's 80 plus new players on the roster. We're better than them. Let's take care of business on the road, win the game, come back home, and get ready for an unbelievable atmosphere the following week. But you can't get there unless you take care of business now. So let's take care of business. And if I were to leave a prediction, which I guess I will, I wasn't planning on leaving a prediction for this game, but I guess I will. And my prediction would be that the Mountaineers win this game by a score of 31-21. Okay, so I'm going to say that they cover and cover by an additional touchdown, right? 31-21 Mountaineers roll. They win. They take care of business. And we'll have you covered here, by the way, however it shakes out, a win, a loss, a Hail Mary win, a Hail Mary loss, a win by 20, a loss by 20. We'll be here to break down the action that transpired on the field, and we'll talk about it on the Mountaineer Moment. So that's it for this preview episode of the Ohio Bobcats. Again, we'll have you covered after the game, post-game analysis, post-game breakdown. We'll spend an episode or two talking about Ohio, and then early next week we'll be getting in to the backyard brawl and focusing on Pitt. So we'll see you next time here on Mountaineer Moment. Let's go Mountaineers.